Today, I'm going to be talking about London, Ontario. I'm going to go over my top 5 places to live. It's going to go over the neighborhood, the safety. It's going to go over what features are around, like hiking trails or shopping districts. We're going to talk about the average price of a home, the luxury homes, the lower end homes that you can buy, like condominiums, townhouses, apartment buildings, and things of that nature. Now, if you don't know where London, Ontario is, we're in southwestern Ontario, right in between Toronto and right in between Windsor, which is just over here. London, Ontario is also known as the Forest City for its beautiful forests, tons of wildlife, tons of greenery. All right, so I'm just gonna start with Byron here. By no means is it the first, and the fifth one that I named, by no means is it the fifth best. I'm just going in random order here. So Byron is right in between Riverbend, Westmount, and Lambeth in southwest London. Just in this red box, you got Southdale Road, and right around Colonel Talbot, it goes all the way up right here to Commissioners Road West and Springbank Park. And then you also have at the top around Commissioners Road West and Oxford Street West. And then at the bottom, you got Southdale and West Elbourne. So it's just in this area in the southwestern portion of London. Now, Byron really captures the forest city life with tons of trees. You're right by Bowler Mountain, which is actually just in this area, which has a ton of activities I'll get to later. Byron's average home price right now is around $925,000. There's definitely places that you're going to get for the upper limit of like $2-3 million, which I'll go over as well. Those are going to be some mansions, as well as you can get some places just for $300,000-$400,000. They're probably going to be condos or heavy fixer-uppers. But so for $925,000 in Byron, that's going to get you something like this. Beautiful 2-story with the attached garage there. This actually sold for $880 in the middle of May. But beautiful place you can get for $880 in Byron. Now, if you're living in the Byron area and you're in high school or you have a kid in high school, you're going to be going to Saunders Secondary School, which isn't a bad high school at all. And if you're in elementary school, you're going to be going to Byron Southwood, which also isn't the worst public school. So you got good schools all around the neighborhood. Now, there's an issue with London and schooling. Schools are just way too full as London continues to expand and grow. So London has had to build a ton of new schools in recent times, and they're actually building a new school in southwest London. For right now, it's called Southwest London. It actually looks like this here, and that's going to help to reduce the amount of kids being sent to Byron Southwood. Now, in terms of safety, just like everywhere else I'm going to list on my best places to live in London, they're all going to be very, very safe. That's one of the top things I look for when I'm creating these lists. Byron itself actually has a crime rate 25% less than the national average, and there's a much older demographic in the Byron area, so you're going to be much better off than living in the south or the east end, I find. Now with Byron right here, you actually have a few grocery store options. You've got the Metro right here, Food Basics. This is Westmount Mall here, so you got a little shopping district. As well, with about 10 to 15 minute drive, you're going to be over at White Oaks Mall, which is just down here, which is one of the biggest malls in London. You have Masonville Mall, White Oaks Mall. They're about the same square footage. I like them both the same. Masonville's a little bit better of an area. However, in terms of shopping, you're getting the same thing here. So that's great about Byron as well. Byron's about a 10 to 15 minute drive to the central portion of London. I'm going to use Victoria Park for an example. This is really downtown London. If you haven't been here, a beautiful park. It's about 10 to 15 minutes there, so you're not getting the worst of drives. You're definitely going to be in for a treat if you're getting to the east of London, heading down Oxford Street. During rush hour, you're going to probably experience 30-40 minutes of traffic. Honestly, that's everywhere in London. Just got to pick and choose your battles here. Byron's very close to Bowler Mountain, which has skiing, tubing, tobogganing throughout the winter. You have beautiful hiking trails as well as obstacle courses to use throughout the summer. And it's just a big attraction that I find brings quite a few people from the outskirts of London to Bowler Mountain, right around the Byron area. So living in Byron, you actually have Springbank Park, which is a few minutes away. It's a 300-acre park along the stretch of the Thames River in London. It's the largest park in London and contains 30 kilometers of trails and is home to Storybook Gardens, which is a family attraction open year-round. Now, in the low end in the Byron area, it's going to cost you around $400,000 to $600,000. 4 on the lower end for condominiums and apartments. $600,000, which is also in the lower end, is probably going to get you a single family home that needs a little bit of work. Now, a nice beautiful townhouse like this actually sold for $490,000 in the middle of May as well. This is going to get you a nice townhouse with garage. So a nice sweet place there. And that's a 3-bed, 2-bath place with 1,150 above ground square feet. So not a bad place at all. Switch over to Google Earth here so I can show you a bit more in depth the neighborhoods in Byron. In Byron, you're going to find massive mansions and beautiful neighborhoods in the $2 to $3 million plus budget. So things like here, like Old Oak Lane, it's going to be very rare that you actually purchase a property here, as these haven't sold for years and years and years, but absolutely stunning place, as well as a place like Cherry Grove, where you're going to find one of the biggest homes in all of London. Now, I did want to mention my name's Avery Mellor. I work with Thrive Realty. I help people find their dream home all the way throughout London. I grew up here. I was born in Victoria Hospital, born and raised, been here my whole life. Went to Western University, so I know this place like the back of my hand. So just reach out to me. My number's right here, or you can send me an email. I'm here 24/7. I live, breathe real estate. So just send me a message and I'd be happy to help you, whether you're moving in from the GTA area, moving in from the States, or you're just switching areas in London. I'd love to help you out. All right, so the next neighborhood is actually Masonville, but it's not Masonville. It's north of Masonville. So that's going to be the Sunningdale area as well as the Northcrest area. Basically in between Wonderland and Sunningdale, Fanshawe and Wonderland, all the way to Adelaide and Fanshawe, and Sunningdale and Adelaide. So just this big box here. And don't get me wrong, Masonville is an absolutely beautiful neighborhood. It's just Masonville's so popular, I didn't want to bring this one up. It's actually north of Masonville that I personally love much better. Now, the average home in Masonville is going to go around 800 to 900 to 950. It's kind of a broad range, however, it completely hovers throughout the time of the year as well as year on year. But I'd say you're looking at high eights if you want a house throughout this area. So right around the start of May, you actually had something like this sell for $851,000. It's a 2-story with 2 garages right in the northern Masonville area. This is closer to the Fanshawe and Adelaide area. Beautiful home, needs a little bit of work inside for sure, but the size of this and the location is unmatched. And you also have something like this, which also sold in May for $950,000. These homes in the northern Masonville area also have frontages of, 30, 40, 60, 80 feet. Absolutely beautiful lots with homes ranging, from 1,500 to 3,000 square feet. Now, what's beautiful about the northern Masonville area is you're actually going to be sent to A.B. Lucas Secondary School, which is just located right around here. So it's not far at all, and A.B. Lucas is one of the best high schools in London. In terms of elementary schools, you're going to be looking at Masonville Public School, which is located right here. And that's going to be for anyone in this box here. So Wonderland and Sunningdale, Fanshawe and Wonderland, Richmond and Fanshawe, as well as Sunningdale and Richmond. So just in this box here, you're going to be headed to Masonville Public School. Now on the other side of that, just in this box here, the Sunningdale and Adelaide, Fanshawe and Adelaide, Fanshawe and Richmond, Sunningdale and Richmond, you're going to actually be heading to Jack Chambers Public School. Both of these are absolutely amazing elementary schools. And the great thing about this area, north of Masonville, is that the safety is amazing. So just like everywhere else that I've mentioned on this list, Masonville tops the cake for safety. You're going to find a lot older of a demographic in this area with super beautiful homes as well as affordable condos and apartments. So you got actually affordable apartments just located in here. Grenfell Apartments, these are going to go for around $400,000 on average. But then you also have places like here, Chantry Place, which is multi-million-dollar homes that range from, $2 million to $5-6 million. The amazing part about living in the northern Masonville area, as well as Masonville as a whole, is that you're close to the Masonville Mall. This mall I find is much better than the White Oaks one, although it's around the same size. Masonville Mall is 2 floors with around 162 stores currently. There's a No Frills down Fanshawe Park Road. You got a Loblaws across from Masonville. You're near Western University as well, so you'll often find a lot of Western students finding housing in this area. You head down Richmond and get to downtown within about 10 minutes. A bit longer with traffic, but it could even be about 5 minutes if there's no traffic and you're leaving at 9 p.m. or midnight. It's also close to the University Hospital, which is great, and a massive employer for London. There's tons of libraries in the Masonville area, as well as parks and daycares for kids. I think it's one of the safest neighborhoods in London, like I previously mentioned. As well, there's tons of hiking trails both north and south of the Masonville area or northern Masonville area. You got the Thames Valley trails along the Thames River, and there's just tons of green space and little parks, just like this one here. You got Plane Tree Park, beautiful park. You also got Jack Chambers, which has a beautiful park. And then there's just little wooded areas nestled in between, like Northbrook Park. And you also have these beautiful Sunningdale trails that wrap around the whole Sunningdale area. Now, to be honest, Masonville is notorious for traffic. If you're leaving around rush hour, you're going to be in traffic for a while, just like most of London, Ontario. But that's because there's Richmond Road, Fanshawe Park Road, which are both massive routes for people to get home and as well as to work. An amazing thing going on right now, alongside the high rises they're looking to build around the Masonville area, is that they're actually expanding the roads. So this is going to alleviate some of the traffic. I think it's going to 6 to 8 lanes around the Masonville area on Fanshawe Park Road, whereas currently it's about 4. So if you're looking at the lower end for the northern Masonville area, right around, mid 300s, you're going to get something like this, which actually sold for $305. It's a 1-bed, 1-bath and a great apartment. However, it's definitely small and needs a little bit of work, but you can still get into this beautiful area for a completely reasonable price. You also have something like this, which sold for $525,000 in May. Once again, fairly affordable to get into a beautiful neighborhood. These style homes are very popular throughout the northern Masonville area. This one actually sold in May for $1.32 million. You're going to find tons of double garage, 2-story homes throughout this area. And you'll also find places that can go over $2 to $3 million. Just north of that northern Masonville area box that I explained, you have places like Torrey Pines Way, as well as Pebble Creek Walk, which are absolutely beautiful houses with mansions ranging from $1 million to $3 million. And that's going to be something like this here for $1.989 million. Beautiful area. You also have smaller places than this, larger places around that area, just north of the northern Masonville area. And this here is 4,320 square feet finished with around 3,000 above ground. So absolutely massive homes. So next up, we have one of my favorite areas, which is the Kilworth area. This is right west of London, a little bit west of Riverbend. You're going to find homes here ranging around, $600,000 all the way up to $3-4 million. I'd say the average price is right around $1 million, but to be honest, you're not going to find much for less than $1 million, but you're going to sure find a bunch for over $1 million. So if you're in the Kilworth area, you're actually going to be sent over to Medway Public School, which is all the way around here. So it's definitely a long drive. However, I do see future development of high schools in the Kilworth and Kamoka area that's going to allow for students to have, a 5-10 minute drive to school instead of all the way to Medway. Now, you also have Parkview Public School, which is just a 5-minute drive to Kamoka, which is just this area here, which is obviously a lot more reasonable. Both Medway and Parkview Public School are once again amazing schools. If you got Riverbend here, which has a ton of new things going on, which I maybe am going to get into later, but Kilworth overall is just very safe. There's tons of new development, new stores, new homes being developed throughout the neighborhood, and I definitely see it as an area for growth. I think if you get in now, if you get in 2 years ago, if you get in a year from now, you're going to find a lot of growth in the future, 10, 20, 30 years as London continues to expand. So in terms of food, you actually have Foodland, which is right in Kamoka. You also have a Metro, which is over in London. So to be honest, you're going to have to travel quite a bit living in this area. You're going to definitely be going over to London. However, you got Oxford Street West here, which doesn't seem to be as busy as, Oxford Street throughout central London. But it's still going to be a decent drive wherever you want to go. If you're heading to East London, have fun during rush hour. It's going to be about an hour, 45 minutes. You can get to the Masonville area in about 15-20 minutes all the way from Kilworth when there's no rush hour. But like I said, London's busy. You're probably going to be stuck in traffic unless you're going at 6 a.m. or 9 p.m., things like that. Now, although Kilworth is definitely being developed with tons of new areas, you got Kilworth United Church here, which is an absolutely beautiful church that was established in the 1850s. So if you haven't checked it out and you're from the London area, definitely give it a check, just 10-15 minutes, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Living in the Kilworth area, you actually have Kamoka Provincial Park, which is a beautiful provincial park with tons of hiking trails for you to head through. To get into Kilworth area, you're going to need, like I said, bare minimum $600,000. This one here actually sold in 2023, late 2023, for $672,000. So if you're looking to get into this area, definitely need more than to get into the south or east end London or downtown area. Something like this definitely needs work, but rather buy the worst house in the best area than vice versa, right? You don't want to buy the best house in the worst area, or you're just going to get that depreciation. So this here, get a bunch of work into it and be worth millions of bucks. Now for that average price, right around $1 million, this one actually sold for $960,000 just at the start of 2024. You're gonna get something like this. So a really beautiful 2-story home with a couple garages there. This home here is about 2,290 square feet finished. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, built in 2023. All right, so next up is Riverbend. That's just this area outlined in the red. Right around where Keynes Road, Commissioners Road West, and Oxford Street West meet. So in Riverbend, you're going to look at around $900,000 to $1 million for the average home price. You're going to need around $600,000 to get into the neighborhood, and then prices can range up until about $3 million. For $920,000, you can get something like this. This was out back in 2023, right around the middle. So to get a beautiful house like this for $920,000, a brand new 2020 build isn't too bad, especially for the area when you're considering what schools your children are going to be going to, the different kinds of, shopping centers and walking trails throughout the area, as well as the fact that you're buying into new developments. These are only going to appreciate over, the 10-year, 20-year, 30-year time frame. You're actually going to go to Northview Public School. There's currently holding at Byron Southwood. For high school, you're going to go to Saunders. So with Riverbend, you're closer to central London than Byron. You're closer to central London than Kilworth and Kamoka. There's tons of new developments like these. There's also, West 5 is basically developing a new mini city in Riverbend with a futuristic feel. If you haven't been there, you should really check it out. There's some beautiful parks, stunning, really expensive homes, as well as affordable homes. And shopping, there's Canadian Superstore just minutes away, as well as Metro, similar distance. So to get into the Riverbend area, like I previously mentioned, it's going to cost you at least $600,000 for the most part. This home actually sold for $645,000 in the middle of 2023. It was a 2018 build, so very new as well. 1,620 above ground square feet, 3-bed, 3-bath. So, for $645,000, not a bad home at all, especially, like I said, in the beautiful Riverbend area. And then there's also homes like this one, built in 2006, went for $1.45 million back in 2023. It's a 1,960 above ground square feet with 5 beds and 3 baths. But like I said, there's also $2 and $3 million homes that have been sold in the area. So I honestly think the Riverbend area and Kilworth area, out of my entire list, has the most room for growth. I think house prices in that area are going to exponentially rise as years go on, and there's more development, more grocery stores, new schools, things of that nature. I think those are just going to continue to rise. Just like Kilworth, you're close to Kamoka Provincial Park. You're close to that beautiful Springbank Park, which is the largest park in London. You have the London Hunt and Country Club, which is probably the highest end country club in London. It costs, there's no actual number, but it's speculated around to be $50,000 just to have a membership at that club. So it's a very high-end club where you're going to network with a lot of high net worth individuals. There's also Riverbend Park right around the Riverbend area, and tons of new buildings. Like there's a Buttermilk going in there with a second location. If you haven't had it, their chicken sandwich is amazing. There's currently one just on Warncliffe and Oxford, but they're also having that new one in the Riverbend area. They also have Tim Hortons, Shelby's, McDonald's, and just different kinds of fast food stuff going around that area. So last but certainly not least is Lambeth. This is just in the southwestern Ontario area, even more south than Byron and Riverbend. It's just this weirdly shaped red area throughout here, where homes tend to go for around $1 million or even more on average. In Lambeth, the holding public school is currently Westmount. Lambeth Public School is full, but it's expanding, so they're going to have to continue to expand that school as more people start to live in Lambeth, or just build a new school instead of sending them all the way over to Westmount. Saunders Secondary School is also their secondary school, just like Riverbend and just like Kilworth. And it was actually just announced at the start of April 2024 that there's $45 million for a new Catholic elementary school in the Kilworth-Kamoka area. But there actually hasn't been a new public high school since 1972 built in London, which I think is a little crazy, but I also think there's going to be tons of expansion throughout the Kamoka, Kilworth, Lambeth, and even north of London area. So Lambeth has a food land just minutes away. There's also a Loblaws in Freshco about 5 to 10 minutes away. You'll find things as well, just like, Subway or A&W around the area as well. So on the low end in Lambeth, you're going to find places around $550,000, $700,000 for a single family home. You might be able to find condos, although there's not too many in the Lambeth area, as well as apartments for cheaper, but to be honest, I don't think so. You're going to look at a single family home like this for $530,000, which sold in the middle of 2023. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath. It was built in 1961, so definitely older, and it has a garage. But for the Lambeth area, just like all the other areas, getting in at $530,000 is not bad at all for the absolutely amazing area. And Lambeth is kind of weird. There's a lot of old buildings, built through 1950, 60, 70, 80, that kind of thing. And then there's a ton of new builds as well, which I'm going to show later, in the higher end areas, in the higher end price range. There's places going for $1.8 million that were built in 2022, 2023, 2024. And it seems like it's continuing to expand with new development around the outskirts of London. So just west of London, southwest of London, north of London, it seems like there's a ton of new developments of luxury homes. So there's this one here that sold at the end of 2023 for $880,000. They were asking $899, sold for $880. It's a 4-bed, 4-bath with 2,396 square feet above ground. So it's a triple garage, or it actually looks like a 2.5 garage. It looks like this is more of a 1.5, and this one's a 1 here. But beautiful home. And yeah, this one has a 53-foot frontage. You're going to find large frontages in the older homes. Those can range from 60, 80, 100 feet in frontage. However, in the newer homes, it's going to be a lot smaller. You might even find, 30, 40 feet of frontage. I've personally found a lot of new lots are even, 33 feet, say, and they're just 2 stories, but beautiful on the inside, going for around $1 million now. And then obviously at the higher end, this just sold for $1.25 million in the end of 2023. It's actually 3,341 above ground square feet. It was built in 1982, and it's a 6-bed, 4-bath. So absolutely massive home. Obviously needs a little bit of work in the kitchen for sure. Definitely a home that people are buying to fix up. But this house could be worth, $3 million by the time they finish all the renovations, because it's just a beautiful lot, You have a massive frontage. And then there's also ultra luxury homes like this one here that sold for $1.873 million in the middle of 2023. It was a 2022 build with 5 beds, 5 baths with 3,472 above ground square feet. So it's an absolutely beautiful home, ultra luxury, large frontage, beautiful area. And this is on Winterberry, so they're doing a ton of new development in this area of large luxury homes ranging from, $1 million to 2.5. And a lot of these homes are actually custom homes, so people will just buy the lot, then they'll make their own home, work it out with the builder, and just build something absolutely beautiful. So I find throughout these neighborhoods, you're still going to find unique. It's not just going to be cookie cutters. You're going to find a lot of unique homes, and it's just a beautiful area to drive through, quiet. You're not going to have a high crime rate as well, which is, just awesome. So in Lambeth, older demographic, you got Lambeth Public Library, you have Lambeth Harvest Fest every September. As Lambeth is historically a farming community and has various things like Lambeth's Got Talent, you can check out firework events, movie nights, golf tournaments. It's all for the local community, and you're really just going to feel like you're in that tight-knit family, which is what Lambeth is all about. You also have a beautiful new YMCA. It's the newest YMCA in London. It's called Bostwick YMCA. Beautiful basketball court, swimming pool, this, that, and the other. In terms of traffic, It's about a 20-minute drive to Victoria Park, which is the central location I like to use for London. Can be much longer for peak times going down Warncliffe Road and navigating through downtown. However, it's about a 5 to 10-minute drive to Westmount, which has tons of stores for shopping. So another thing I wanted to talk about actually was the airport in London. It's right around Veterans Memorial in East London. Flies tons of places. You can go to Cancun, you can go to Punta Cana, you can go to Toronto, you can go to Calgary, you can go to British Columbia, you can go, they fly wherever. Obviously, beautiful places, cheap flights. You can show up an hour before the flight and still make it instead of heading all the way down to Toronto or Detroit, which is a couple-hour drive. You can drive, 10 minutes, 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes if you're in the Kilworth area. Catch a flight, get dropped off. You're not worrying about paying for parking because you can just get a friend to drop you off. So it's just an amazing aspect of London. It seems like it continues to grow with more destinations. It's also very close to Port Stanley Beach, as well as Grand Bend Beach. Beautiful beaches, there's Grand Bend, which is going to be much busier, but you can also find areas like Port Franks, which is going to be less busy, which is a private beach, which I don't go on ever as it's private, but it's a beautiful beach. Now, I just wanted to mention, by no means is this an exhaustive list. There's tons of nice areas in the East End. There's tons of nice areas in the South End. There's tons of nice areas downtown, Wortley Village. Masonville's a nice area, and I didn't even put it on the list. But like I said, by no means an exhaustive list. These are just my top 5 favorite as of right now. But I bet you next year, I'm going to have a new 5 favorite. That 3 might be swapped out. 3 new one might be in. So really switches, but if you live in these neighborhoods, I think it's safe to say you made a great decision. Very safe area, tons of different hiking, tons of different amazing schools around the area.